Hi, everybody. Welcome back to GSX 2022. Chuck Harold, SecurityGuyTV.com. Here in beautiful Atlanta. My next guest, Mr. Tom Reilly, president of Commend Americas. Mr. Tom, welcome back, my friend.
Great to be here. Good to see you again.
Now, I'm always happy when I find people taller than me.
Right.
So I don't have my box today. We're going to talk about unified communications. It's an interesting phrase because you would assume by the word communication,
Right.
you're unified by default, and you're not. People just say, oh, well, everybody's phone's connected. No, that's not what unified means. Let's define that for me.
Yeah, so unified communications is really the term that Commend started using more and more over the last 2 years to explain what we've done over the last 50 years. So Commend's been in the industry for a long time, innovating intercom and PA for a variety of different verticals. And we took a look back at some of our key verticals like healthcare or
Right.
Multi-locational corporate settings, and realized that as those locations develop, there's a lot of segmented communication systems that they use.
Does technology or old technology separate? Is that the segmentation problem, or just is it a configuration issue?
I think it's really a use case issue.
Okay.
So I always like to use the example of a healthcare institution, that there would be a system for parking communication, emergency phones. There would be a system for perimeter security. There would be a public address system. There would be something on the clinical side for patient care.
Right.
And all those are segmented and ultimately owned differently, maintained differently.
Now, that could be good for privacy reasons.
Right.
But with the technology today, I would assume we might be able to wire those together and then bifurcate them security-wise.
Correct.
But at least if we need to send out a notice to everybody, we're all unified.
Yeah, and that's really the intent, is that you look at the day-to-day operation of a healthcare institution,
Right.
or a corporate customer, industrial, whatever it may be. We really want to get away from single-use technologies.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have an emergency system that's only used when there's a fire. You don't want to have a PA system that's only used for general information. You want to have something that's purpose-built for both sunny day and stormy day,
Right.
is the term that we use.
Well, it makes sense because if you don't use it during the sunny day, you're not going to be trained to use it during an emergency.
Exactly, nor will it be maintained properly.
That's right.
So you go back to the topic of cybersecurity, you go back to system maintenance, ensuring that you have a system that's robust enough to cover all the different use cases, is again, robust enough to be online and functional whenever it's necessary, and also monitored centrally so that it's up to date from a security patch perspective, is really, really important.
Now, tell us about the benefits of this. It seems obvious, but I don't think people quite understand that time is what keeps you safe,
Right.
not barriers.
Right.
And the faster you can respond to something, or the slower. In other words, if you have time to sit there and think about what to do.
Right.
And this instant communication really does it. So explain this to people.
Yeah, so I think it's all about being able to do something when a problem is identified. So an event happens, knowing the system enough so you know what tools you have at your disposal to respond, like you said, quickly or slowly.
Right.
But also just be able to respond and communicate to people that are impacted. And that's not just an audio thing, it's a variety of technologies.
Right.
So that's where unification comes in. It's not just an audio use case, it's how do we integrate with the video, how do we integrate with access control, how do we integrate with even digital signage, so that if the situation changes, you can give the proper instructions for people to
Right.
do or not do something.
Now, let me be specific on this, make sure I get this right.
Yep.
You're in the audio business, that's the core business, right?
Correct.
Intercoms and stuff. But what you're talking about is your function getting into other areas of communication. In other words,
Right.
you're going to be almost an integrator. It's kind of a way to describe it. Does that make sense?
We like to look at ourselves as a partner.
Yeah.
So we realized long ago.
Hold on a second.
That's right.
My sister's calling me. I told me not to
Sister
call her
does.
during the phone, during the show. Sorry about that. Right?
Yeah. No. So we recognize that we cannot do everything, nor do we want to do everything.
Right.
We want to innovate in the direction where we're the best contributor, right? And
Yeah.
audio really is our core competency. But we realize that our customers, going back to your point about integration, need something broader than what we can provide. So who are our partners, right? And a lot of them are in this room, right? They're other manufacturers that we don't have a monetary connection to. We're not joint companies. We're just jointly going forward to try to solve a client problem.
All right, now let's talk about what technology makes that possible. First of all, you got to play nice in the sandbox.
Yep.
That's a good business model, right?
Yeah, of course.
But the technology has to be there. Has the cloud really kind of pushed this forward quickly so you're really able to bring this concept to fruition using the cloud?
Yeah, so I think the cloud is the future, obviously, and I'm sure that's a theme that you're hearing a lot about on the show in the subsequent interviews. But it's also just it's a portion of the way that we can resolve the problems right now.
Okay.
Not every institution wants to have full dependency on the cloud. They do want to have the ability to design a system that's right for them. And that's why the Commend system has a variety of different configurations that all operate together on one unified platform.
Oh, that's good.
With the ability to always go to the cloud for any reason, either completely or as a component, but also the ability to have it run on different architecture.
Would you say, as the president, because I mean, if you don't know the answer, nobody does, but
right.
My concept might be that I see you guys driving this issue. Partnerships I get the whole statement working with other people, but you kind of had the brainchild and said, listen, we can do more. We can help our customers integrate more. Don't we need a driver in a project like this to say, here's the concept, here's their idea? Because a lot of people don't know this stuff's possible.
Yeah.
To this day and age, they still don't get that technologically we can wire this entire place right now if we wanted to.
Yeah, I think, you're right. It's always a project that gets people to the table, right? And that's how most of their integrations and our partnerships happen. That there's an initial ask, there's a joint customer or a joint potential customer that needs the kind of sum of the components to be
the sum of the components. What a great way to say it. Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's also a view that as we proceed in this kind of infinite game that we're all playing in, that it's not mutually exclusive, right? There's growth for everybody if they work together.
There really is.
And also it needs to be part of our, and it is a part of our, frankly part of our budget and part of our strategy year over year of how can we develop integration partners deeper and what are we going to look to resolve together. It's always easier on a project basis, but it doesn't have to be.
Excellent. Tom Reilly, President, Commend Americas. I love your attitude, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Very positive and leadership speaks volumes.
Appreciate it.
Back in give us the website.
Commend.com.
Now here's your toughest question. What's your boost number?
3034.
Oh, somebody told you I was going to ask you, did you? You watched the show and found out that I was going to ask you.
I know it. I saw their stumble. I got it.
Back in here at Security Guy TV at ASIS GSX 2022 Atlanta.